Hello everyone, this is Nagarajan. Welcome to QA Coding Express channel. This is the part 2 session of Selenium WebDriver framework. In the last video, we talked about automation test framework project and the components. Let's have a quick recap. We discussed about SRC main Java, SRC main resources. These are all the source folders, right? And we talked about Maven dependencies also, so and TestNG jars as well. We discussed about the test reports are being generated with the help of external reports and pom.xml files used to get the jar files being downloaded inside Maven dependencies. And we triggered this particular test2.xml and we had executed the test. So we got the reports inside this particular test reports. And in today's video, we're going to see an interesting topic. It's about thread.sleep. Where so let me jump into this code we discussed in the last session, right? You could see this is the test file which we had seen in the part 1 session, wherein using this particular file we had created a bug in Jira and we verified those bugs on the search issue page. So that is the intention of this particular file. And you could see here there are more thread.sleep written over here, right? So what is the purpose of this particular thread.sleep? What it does is it makes a system to wait for a particular period of time before it performs any operations. Ideally it has to you could see here it has to click this particular element, right? So we have explicitly used a thread.sleep to make the system to wait. So this reduces the performance. So in order to replace this particular thread.sleep, uh, the best solution is explicit waits. These are explicit waits are being provided with Selenium WebDriver itself. They provided that option. What it does is it makes the WebDriver to wait to look for this particular element. So I'll show you. See, we have what we did was in this session, right? We replaced all this thread.sleeps with explicit wait. I'll show you. Could see here. Uh, this is the explicit wait I'm talking about. This is the test utilities a class in which we have used this particular method. I've written this method which helps us to invoke that explicit wait. Okay, we could see when I jump into this particular method, right? You could see we have we have created an object for this particular WebDriver wait class, and we have used wait.until visibility of e. So okay, let me go back to this again. So what it does, it waits until the element is visible, this particular element. Okay, this by.css selector we have used, right? So it waits until that particular element is visible and then it clicks on it. So here we haven't written any thread.sleep here. We have replaced all the thread.sleep here, you could see, but one line you could see the thread.sleep. Ideally in the case of right creation, you could see here. So what it does is when I entered into the create issue page and I'm typing some summary on it, and then I'm trying to click the submit button where it performs some operation, right? That time it takes some time. So ideally, our if we don't use this particular thread.sleep here, it actually tries to find that particular element. I have to make this particular system to wait until some operation is done. So it creates the bug and then we are explicitly making system to wait for at least 2 seconds so that the bugs gets created and then we verify it. So that is why we have written only one thread.sleep inside this particular what method. So without this particular line, we have replaced almost all that thread.sleep with explicit wait. And I would like to show you the execution as well. So before we jump into the execution, we'll talk more about on other components as well. So this is the test class, right? And which extends the property of test base class. So this create issue page test part 2 is a, you could say it's a child class or subclass which extends a property of a base class. This is a test base, is a base class, or you can call it as a parent class. So this is a concept of inheritance, wherein you could see this child class is acquires the property of a parent class. Okay, so it tries to use the methods or variables present inside this particular test base inside this particular child class. We are going to reuse that methods from parent class. Okay, let's jump into this particular base class and we'll see. If you could see here, this is the base class I said, right? So this is in this file, you could see this extends test utility, right? So here, this acts as a child class which extends the property of a parent class. Here it is, test utility is a parent class. So maybe you will get confused here, but over a period of time you'll try to understand. If you are clear with Java, if you are very experts in Java concepts, then you'll be able to understand this concepts. If you're not new to Java, right, don't worry. It is just an inheritance, multi-level inheritance it does. So let's don't jump directly into test utility. Let's talk more about on this test base class so that you'll understand more. Okay, and you could see here test base, this is the class name, same as a class name, right? This is called a constructor. See, this is a constructor which has the same name as a class name. Okay, here why we have used constructor means we have creating an object for this extend report class. So we are creating an object and then we are giving the invoking the load config method which are provided by extend reports. We have, why we are using this particular thing is like we'll have to mention the report path. So that is why we are giving this particular definition of the path, and then we are configuring it using load config. I think we discussed about this extend config.xml in the last session when I talk about extend reports. If you want to know more about on extend reports, please watch that video on part 1 session. You'll come to know about that clearly. Okay, so I talked about configuration part on the first video, so please watch that video and then come again here. Okay, let's jump into before suit. So here this is before suit. It is a testng annotations. All right, so if you want if you want to know more about testng as well, then you'll have to watch my videos on testng separate. I'll post testng separate video sessions where you could watch those videos there and you'll learn about testng. For now, I'll say about heart and eye level. So this is before suit is an testng annotation. It gets executed before all the test is being executed. Okay, so that is the job of it. And you could see there load props and load property. There are two methods being written over here. Okay, and we'll discuss about this particular thing shortly. And let's don't deep dive into this particular event so that you will get confused more. Okay, so we have seen about test base, which extends a property of a test utility. We have used a constructor to create an object for extend reports, and we have configured the XML file configuration for extend reports using this load config, and then we are jumping into before suit. So this is the method which gets executed before all the test is being done. Okay, so we have written two different before suit, right? So this is to indicate this is for to loading the property, this is to invoke it in the browser. That's it. Okay, and if you could say the always run equal to true, if I mention this particular line, right, so always it will get executed. So that is why we have used that. And you can see here parameters, browser and browser type, that I'll cover it now. And this is the open browser connection, and which takes two parameters, browser and the browser type. Okay, when browser type is equals to web, it invokes this particular method, and if it is not web, it invokes mobile browser. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to invoke a browser, whether browser is a Chrome browser or Firefox browser, whether it's a web type or mobile type. Based on the conditions, it will get invoked, right? So I'll show you where this particular parameters are being passed here. So you have to understand it very clearly. If in case if you want to use testsuite.xml, right? So this is the XML file where we specify parameter names like name, browser, Chrome, browser type is web. Okay, so these are the parameters are being passed from testsuite.xml to this particular test, right? Wait, let me show you that. Yeah, you could see here that is space. Let me close all this so that you'll don't get confused. Okay, yeah, so those parameters, right, browser and the browser type are being passed here, and the browser type based on some logic that we are trying to invoke it. Let me go into this particular invoke browser and you could understand it more. See, this is the method, right, invoke browser, that are being written inside this particular test utility. This is a class which extends a property of a test constant. So this act as a child class, this act as a base class. Let's don't get into this particular class, we'll get confused. So we'll go one by one. Okay, we have some kind of a declarations here for WebDriver weight and decide capabilities and Firefox profiles and the proxy setups and the common utilities and the file reader, right? And this, so as the name indicates, test utility which has the same name as the class name. So this is a constructor. We have created object for common utility and file reader. Whenever we need to invoke any method inside this particular common utility, right, that time we can use this particular object and then we can invoke it. So that is the reason that we had initialized using constructor, test utility constructor. Okay, now let me go back to the again this particular test base class where you could see this invoke browser, right? So when I click on this particular thing, right, it comes over here, right? So based on the browser type, whether it's a Firefox or Chrome, it has a switch case conditions and it will get executed. Here we have specified some we have created some profiles here, could see some kind of a profiles, right? So this particular line, right, driver equal to new Firefox driver. Here we are trying to create an instance for it, for Firefox driver. If it is Chrome session, Chrome, then we create a Chrome options and we try to initialize a Chrome driver here. If you want, you can add more Chrome options as well, right? So what it does basically, it is trying to invoke this particular browser. If it is a web, it comes over here. If it is a mobile, then we have written another function, invoke mobile browser. Let me go back to again this, I'll show you. If it is web, it will invoke here. If it is a mobile, it will invoke this particular method. Okay, now we are coming into this particular method. Mobile in a sense, it doesn't trigger and execute the test on real mobile. What it does, it runs that execution part on a user agent. It's meaning like it's like an emulator kind of thing. So we'll have to mention this that in options thing, where you could see here options.add arguments, right, where you can have specified user agent equal to Mozilla something like this, right? When I execute this particular Chrome mobile thing, then it opens up the browser on an emulator site like an user agent and it will get executed. So that is reason that we have written this two methods, invoke browser and invoke mobile browser. Okay, and I've also written some few of the methods, common methods, invoke URL. We don't need to specifically write explicitly write driver.get or something like that. So whatever methods that we are going to use commonly, right, we can Selenium methods I'm talking about, that you can write it and place it inside a method. Whenever you need it, you can use it. Likewise, invoke URL, wait until process complete. So this is how we have to create a framework. So you have to write common methods inside this particular test utility class. This is the method which used to clear all the cookies. This is the method to maximize the window, close browser, quit browser. So whatever the methods that you feel that are common to Selenium utility, then you can write it inside this particular uh, class. Okay, so I've written so many methods which are commonly used for select class, for click actions, click tab, JavaScript executor, get element text. So those methods are being written over inside this particular test utility. Let's go back to test base. So we have covered about these things. I said we'll talk more about on load properties, right? Let me jump into this particular load property method. Okay, why we are using this particular method. Okay, let me go into this. You could see this test utility, right? It extends the property from this particular test constants, right? This test constants is available here. here you can define all, declare all that variables here, whatever variables. See, I've declared base path, Gcode driver, COM driver, edge driver, page URLs, those specific things, right? This is the method load property, right? So here you could see in this we have defined all this path, Gcode driver path, COM driver path, and all. Okay, this path is being set up. Well, let me show you. In the left pane, right, you could see the SRC test resources, right? And this gets the actual path of it, parent path, and then you can navigate via file.separator /src /test resources /gcode driver. Likewise, you can define for other processes as well. And you could see here we have used properties, right? So we have created an object for this property class, and we have defined two different properties. One is to this property file is to get fetch values from config.property, wherein I'm going to access this particular staging page URL. Okay, and this particular config, it is to access the username, password, credential details. I don't want to open this particular config.property since it has some credentials. Okay, now we are trying to load this particular property files, config prop.load. Here you could see that we have loaded this particular config property and credential properties, and based on using that property we can invoke this particular method, and then I'm trying to get this particular staging page URL. See, I'll show you. If you could see here, here I could define the staging page URL, right, that I'm trying to access using this particular variable with config prop dot. This is an object, and with that object we am trying to get you invoke this particular get property method, and then I'm trying to access this particular value. Likewise, we have used get config to access username and password. Okay, so this is present inside this try and catch block. If all the gets executed successfully, it will get done. If there is any error inside this particular one, then will be caught inside this particular catch block. Okay, so we have talked about test constants as well. Okay, let me go back again and I'll show you whatever that we discussed now. See, create issue page test part 2 extends the property of test base, right? This is a child and this is a proper. This is the parent. I'm coming over here. This is another. It acts as a child, which extends the property of a test util. Let me go back to go into this particular test utility. This is one of the class which acts as a child class. It extends the property of a test constants, right? It is a multi-level. We have implemented the multi-level inheritance, right? I think I've covered about Java or Java also. Okay, so I told you that I'm going to show you the test execution part, right? So we have replaced the thread.sleep with explicit waits, but I'm not sure, very sure whether this code will get executed successfully or not. Let's check. Okay, let me execute this particular thing, and you can see before that I would like to tell you one more thing also. The small thing here, you could see we are creating a bug in Jira. Now you could see here this particular line, right? Shopping bag icon looks broken. So only one bug we are trying to create here. What happens if I want to create more bugs? Example, 10 bugs if I want to create, then it has to be dynamic, right? That will be covered in the next part. We'll see that also. Okay, let me run on the let's see the report. It is empty now. Report folder is empty. Okay, we have two different files. Let me delete all these files, right? Okay, this file is deleted. Now I'm going to execute test2.xml. If you could see here, create issue page test part 2 and search issue page test part 2. I'll also show you the test issue page part 2. We had one thread.sleep inside this particular class file, this particular class, right? But in search issue page test part 2, I've just replaced it with explicit wait. Okay, now we'll do the test execution and see whether we'll be able to run this particular automation suite or not. Okay, now the execution got started and it is trying to open up a page. It is trying to open a Atlassian account where what is going to enter username and password. Okay, so since I told you on the other day, it had some problem with username and password validation, so it entered multiple times, 2 times I said. Okay, now it is trying to create a bug. It has created. Okay, now it is navigating the search issue page and trying to validate whether the bug is created or not. Okay, okay, I think execution is done. You can see here, right? The execution is done. When I, in the left pane, right, when I refresh the folder, right, you could see the test report got generated here. Let me open that up in Chrome browser where you could see more clearly. Okay, this is, see, we have used so our sleep was replaced with explicit wait, WebDriver wait, and we were able to run that execution successfully. So we created the bug and it has verified the bug also. In the next video, we'll try to use data provider. It's a good concept, right? So it's a concept, it tries to fetch data from Excel file. So we can create more bugs. On an Excel file, we can specify a number of bugs and we can use it inside our test class. Okay, that we'll see it in the next part 3 session. I think you liked my video, and thank you so much for watching the video, and let's meet up in the next session. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye bye.